We're working on a 2018 Hyundai Tucson. It's the 2-liter. It is coil unplug or coil inplug.
Yep.
So we have one out right now, and we're gonna check the spark plug gapping, and then we'll pull up the spec for the spark plug gapping. I don't know if you already have it up or not.
I do not, but right now we can see that the gap on our spark plug is about 42 thousandths of an inch.
So we pulled up the gap specifications, and we are within range.
2 ohms.
Yeah. Got the Harbor Freight Special.
Oh yeah. Four ohms.
We retested with a different multimeter, and now we are reading roughly in range. But we can't seem to get our secondary coil resistance. Now we're testing the secondary, so it should be kilo ohms, about 5.9, and you're getting 5.75.
Do you know anything about the
So we are in range. So we checked the rest. We checked the gapping for the rest of them. They were all within range, and we also ohmed out each coil pack, and they were also in range for their ohm setting. We also pulled up this wiring diagram, so you can see the wires that go to each individual coil. So for example, coil number 1, which is so in our last clip, what I was saying is for coil 1, we are testing the primary resistor. So the primary coil resistance is what we were testing with the 2 probes, the 2 pins. If we wanted to test the secondary, we would have to go from one of these pins to the very bottom of the coil where it touches the spark plug. Yeah. For this clip, I wanted to show that for the Hyundai, it is a conventional spark plug. These are examples of some fouled out spark plugs, whether it be from carbon, oil, too much fuel, too little fuel, being too hot or too cold, anything like that. So we switched to the 2003 Chevy Express van. It does have a misfire, so we're gonna try and attempt to diagnose this. So I checked under TSBs, and there is a misfire template. This is what it tells us to kind of check for. Check for spark. You can do a fuel injector balance test. Check for the fuel quality. You can check for voltage, the ignition, coils. You can do a compression test or a cylinder leakage test. If you can also look at fuel trims and look at the spark plugs, check for fouling and stuff like that.
After looking at powertrain trouble codes, we only read a P0300, which just states that the engine has detected a misfire.
So our procedure says to remove the seat. We're gonna see if we can get by without doing that, but we do have to remove this lower instrument panel extension thing, and then there's 2 clips on either side. They both look like this, one on the passenger side, one on the driver's side. For this, it just has these 4 bolts, so we're gonna start taking this all apart to see if we can access the engine. So right now we're trying to pull the plug for cylinder number 2. We got this cover back as best we could. We didn't want to take out the passenger seat, so we just kind of shimmied it to the side to get some access. I think he's making some leeway with getting that plug out.
got it loose.
I did forget to record it, but we just checked cylinder number 2 for spark. So we do have spark at number 2. I believe we just checked cylinder number 7 as well, because that's when I fucking got shot. We also have spark over there. Now they're checking that spark plug. They're gonna see if it's like fouled out or maybe the gap is wrong.
Oil.
That spark plug is fouled out. That's from number 7. Focus. All right, there we go. You see all that gunk on there. They said it smells like oil. So because the misfire is on 2 and 7, and number 7 was fouled out, we are just gonna order 2 brand new spark plugs, and we'll probably put those in either tomorrow or maybe next week, and see if that fixes the misfire on this car.
I think you're touching.
There we go. Trying to ohm out the spark plug.
There.
We're getting an OL reading on cylinder number 2's spark plug. So it's probably a good deal that we're replacing both. So before we throw some spark plugs in, some new ones, we are going to compression test it, just to check the 2 cylinders that were giving us issues. Our specification be no less than 100 psi and 70% between cylinders. So we are going to check that in just a second. So they just tested cylinder number 2, and they got 170, and now they're going to do cylinder number 7, and we're going to check our reading there. Okay.
About 170 again.
So we grabbed the borescope and we're gonna shove it into cylinders number 2 and 7 to kind of see if we can see any gunk down in there. Since the spark plug for number 7 did come
all
out
the way forward.
kind of fouled out and gunky.
Taken out of the active fuel management and looking crappy.
The cylinder wall.
That's a cylinder wall right there.
This one's much
Part of the piston.
cleaner than the other one.
Yeah. Which is interesting because that's the one with all the gunk that we pulled out.
So because this has good compression, we are just going to proceed with throwing 2 spark plugs in there and seeing if that does fix our misfire diagnosis, and we will go from there. So there is actually a recall for the spark plugs, and then the first TSB that is shown tells us the parts number for the new spark plugs we need and the exact gapping specifications. Basically the recall said that the 5.3s and the 6.0s were built with the wrong spark plugs, so they had a recall to bring them in and switch them out. So we did go ahead and verify these are the spark plugs that we need. Our number is right there. We had someone call a person who works at GM to verify this. So we're gonna go ahead and install these spark plugs, start it up, clear any codes, and see if that fixed our problem.